Hello and welcome to Three Dudes and a Lady. Join us for a little inspiration, a little motivation, and perhaps a way to cope with your day. I am Mike from Virginia, and my gratitude today is for memories because when the event is over or the person leaves, that's all you really have left.
Wow.
Right? Follow
Good.
that, Jay.
Yeah, I'm not sure that I can. I'm just going to say my name's Jay Anderson. I'm from the wild, wonderful state of West Virginia. My gratitude is can't top Mike, don't want it to. That was awesome. I like it. I will adopt it.
Hey guys, I am Christine Wright, hailing out of the great state of Florida. My gratitude for the day is exactly what Jay Shetty was talking about, bouncing back. Um, he had brought up a friend that had an interview that he put on his calendar for the wrong day, right? So he woke up late to a bunch of missed calls from the company asking where he's at, right? He couldn't find his belt, he spilled his coffee on himself on the way to the interview, and then a snowstorm hit. He ends up showing up 6 hours late, right? How many of us would actually give up? Be like when we spilled the coffee. I'm pretty sure that most of us probably would have given up then, right? Some of us might have given up right when it was the wrong day, right? But he shrugged it off, laughed about it, and actually the next day he ended up getting the job, right? Because he was willing to keep going. Jay also brought up in January of 2022, the Wizards were hosting the Clippers. And at halftime, the score was 66-31. The fans were convinced that the game was actually over. But the Clippers ended up completing one of the largest comebacks in history and ended up winning by 1 point. And these moments happen all the time, especially in sports. We can see it, we can see them all over the place, right? And we need to take a page from that, right? So when we start our morning off bad, we feel like we're doomed for the rest of the day. This happens to me a lot, right? If we start off the day bad, something happens. Maybe we spill the coffee on us. Maybe we can't find our belt. Maybe we can't find shoes, whatever the case may be. But what if we broke our days up in four quarters instead, right? So you have morning, um, before lunch, after lunch, and dinner time, right? We all make mistakes. We're going to miss shots. We can't dwell on the misses though. We're going to slip and fall, but when we are lying in the mud, keep your eyes trained on the bright blue sky. This is a really good one because how many times do we actually start off our morning bad and it ends up ruining the whole day? Because one thing trickles down from another, right? And it just keeps going and going and going. And we're like, man, this day is like doomed, right? But if we broke it up into four quarters, that would change things a little bit, don't you think? What are you guys' thoughts?
First off, we're doing this at 8 o'clock in the morning. So it's
Yeah,
very hard to start your morning off bad when you're here with usually all four of us.
right. But it could still happen.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been mornings that I still showed up to this and you guys would have never known that it was a complete crapshoot before this,
Yeah, I
right?
could have still,
I th
I
I
could have
think that's
spilled my
probably
coffee on the
all
way
of
to my
us. No
desk.
one just knows it.
Yeah, no one knows it's happening, right?
So we had to cancel yesterday's show and for just various different reasons, but nonetheless, uh, my day started out as a crapshoot,
Yeah,
as what you would
mine
say,
too.
Christine.
Yeah.
I I went uptown, went to the building and that we're trying to sell, and the realtors had been there the night before because they were doing a digital blueprint of every room on the building because they wanted to show a floor plan. And anyways, long story short, they had closed all the doors internally and locked them. To my knowledge, no one has keys to internal doors. This building's old. The only doors that has that people use a key to is the entry doors. Well, going into a main office suite, but the internal doors, they don't get closed. Well, I just so happened get to the building before everybody's there. And I realized this. I'm like, oh my gosh. And I was like, how in the world is this going to work? for my tenants, and I'm scurrying trying to figure out how to get these doors open before anybody gets there and have it up and running like nothing ever even happened. And just so happens I'm paying attention to the door and the hinges, the door pins are on the outside of the door. So in other words, they've reversed the door to open a different way, and the hinges are on the outside. So I'm sitting there popping the pins out of the doors, ripping off the backside of the hinges, pulling it, unlocking it, and putting it back on. And I go around and I get all the doors open before anybody gets there.
Oh, wow.
But
Yeah.
it goes to show you got to breathe, got to relax for a second and think. I didn't have to call a locksmith. I didn't have to bust or kick down any doors to get in. And, these are business owners. When they come to work, they come to work. They don't want to come to uh, a place to where their doors got locked accidentally. So, but prime example of bouncing back. And the rest of my day was productive, and that could have been a shit show for me in my past had I not been just relaxed. I did laugh about it. I thought it was funny, uh, but it's a great lesson to take. And I walked away from it feeling better about myself afterwards. So
Yeah, that's
they had no clue.
no.
The
And
tenants.
that's like a perfect example of exactly what Jay was saying. You actually just kept moving, right? You kept going forward, even though like you said, you definitely could have you had the perfect opportunity to have a crapshoot of a day,
Oh
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's when it can go downhill. And it fortunately, I paid attention to the door hinges. Don't ask me what made me think to look that way. Most people would never even look that way.
No.
Mhm.
A locksmith would have come and laughed and said, "Man, all you had to do is take the pins out." That that's stuff that they notice because that's what they do on a daily basis.
Right.
And I'm laughing so hard I can't see straight. I said, "Well," so I called my realtor and I tell him, I was like, "You guys realize y'all locked all the doors?" "Yeah, well, we felt like we needed to secure everything up." And I said, "Well, appreciate that. Do you have keys to those doors?" "No, sure don't." Well, I said, "Nor does anyone else." "Oh no. Well, what are we supposed to do?" I said, "Well, I called you early yesterday morning and he didn't call me back till yesterday evening after 6." And I said, "I could have used you yesterday morning. You could have, helped carry the doors out as I was taking them off the hinges." He goes, "What?" I said, "You didn't know. There's no harm, no foul. You
Right.
guys didn't know that,
At
please
least they were
don't."
trying to secure the place, right? Like they were trying to
Oh,
do the right thing.
definitely trying to do the
Yeah.
right thing. And with today's privacy policy, you have to have things under lock and key. Well, those are the entry doors is how they lock them. Okay. And not saying that it's right, not saying that it's wrong, but it was hilarious nonetheless. And I was like, "Oh man, that was good."
That that is way to go. Way to be, right?
I had a good day afterwards. Got a lot accomplished because I felt like I accomplished something by staying on course.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome.
Did you call a locksmith anyway?
No,
Just to have keys made, maybe? Because it happens again.
not going to. I'm selling this thing. I'm not buying
Somebody
it.
else's problem.
He's like, I'm selling it. I'm not trying to buy it.
This building's been it's been there since 1925. And my guess is, I don't know. I'm sure when they put the door handles in, they probably had keys at one point in time. I don't even think my dad ever had keys for it. So uh, he never mentioned any keys to me. And I did reach out to all the tenants yesterday and just ask them, "Any chance do you have keys to your internal doors?" "No, never. Okay, that's all I need to
Good to
know.
know, good to know,
Yeah, good to
for
know.
future reference. But like, okay, so it's crazy because like you could have taken that situation and it could have been a bad situation, right? You could have made it into this huge bad ordeal and then the rest of your day was just ruined, right?
Yeah. So I thought about this. It's funny that you said that. I did think about this a little bit yesterday. Um, let's say I went into that and got pissed off. Okay.
Right.
Which would be a normal reaction for most, I would think.
Mhm.
Let's say I called the realtor and was actually able to get through to them. And let's say that I unleashed frustration.
Mhm.
What is really gained out of that?
Nothing, because he doesn't have keys, you don't have keys, there's no problem solved. And are you really going to feel better about yelling at the realtor?
Are they going to work any harder for you? Maybe not. They might at this
Yeah.
point say, you know what, this guy's a butt.
Yeah,
Why do I really want to go out of my way to help this person?
right.
So I started thinking about it a little bit yesterday. The win was exactly what Jay Shetty was talking about, the bouncing back. You know, when you first see something as such, shock sets in, and shock controls your emotions for a minute. Can you reel that in? And evidently, for whatever the reason, whatever was in my coffee yesterday worked pretty well because I was able to control and I felt good, you know?
Good.
So when I was talking to the realtor last night, we were laughing about it, and he was so apologetic. And I said, "Listen, you guys didn't know. You know, you just didn't know." And I said, probably the smartest thing for us to do is let's walk around the building, you and I, and let's talk about, you know, the lights that need to stay on 24/7, the doors that should be closed. You know, being closed and locked are totally two different things, and ones that need to be closed and locked. So I don't know. It was just an interesting this content just came up happenstance that I had an incident that happened
Yeah.
yesterday.
Yeah, pretty much. That's awesome. Mike?
It was interesting. I would look back at the door to my office, which used to be my daughter's bedroom, and she has a entry lock on the door. So technically, I could lock myself out of my own house because I don't have a key. But
We don't even have keys
Allison,
to our front door, just FYI.
yeah,
You know, I don't. I go through the garage to get into the house. I've gone through the garage ever since
Yeah.
we've been at this house.
We do too. We park behind our house in our garage area and then walk through the yard and come in through the back. And anybody that knows us and is friends with us, that's how they get into our house. They come into the back. They don't come into the front ever.
Same here. Same
well, the
here.
good thing is,
This, I was going to say, if the power goes out and I'm coming home to get in, I just got to wait till the power comes back.
fire, open a window.
Right? We don't have to do that, luckily. Our power goes out way too much for all that to happen.
And this house is settled so much that the door doesn't. I'd have to lift the door to make it latch. In fact, I have a little like what is it called, an eye hook at the top if I want to keep people out, like little 3-year-olds.
There you go.
Yeah.
You know, it is interesting. I think that Jay was talking about sports because it's the most notable thing
Oh, for sure.
that we can
Yeah.
relate to say how to bounce back. That's why I wanted to tell you what happened to me yesterday.
I was thinking how this relates to our business because the next person you dial, whether they answer or not, doesn't know that the last person hung up on you, right? Or cussed you out or
No,
whatever.
And that goes back to Tuesday morning's call too. What you just said, Mike, about like the person that we speak to next doesn't have a clue that we might have just been cussed out or hung up on or
Mhm.
whatever, right? Go ahead and finish your statement. I'm sorry, I did
No,
not
no, I
mean
was
to
thinking,
interrupt.
what are we talking about? Tuesday morning? That's ancient history now. Should I go back in my notes?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just, and I have to tell myself that sometimes, like, make one more, just, never end a day on it with a bad call, that kind of thing.
yeah, so true too. And it goes to the like Ed Milet's book, One More, right?
Mm-hmm. The power of one more.
Yeah, The Power of One More. Just doing one more, like one more call, one more thing, just one more, right?
How athletes get better. Your top tier athletes, the one more, just one more statement is so prevalent
Is the norm.
in the that's right. It is a routine for them. Exactly.
Yep. And it's crazy that we're talking about this right now because like Sunday at church, the service was about you know how like everybody says go the extra mile, and it goes back to like back in the day when the Romans would get their bags carried for a mile by this whoever was on the side of the road, whatever. They would have to the whoever it was would have to carry the bag or carry their gear for a mile.
Yeah.
Well, then, it came out to like, what if you gave one more mile? What if you just did one more mile, right? And that's where the go with the extra mile came from. But like, what if we just did one more mile, or just one more, right? How would that change? And if we're having a bad day, how is that one more going to help us? You know,
Well, and that's a great point. I think I know for me, um, I think maturity comes into play here for me. Okay. My younger self, I would have gone in, I probably, inner doors are, they're thin, you know what I mean? They're hollow. They probably have little cardboard zigzags in between the boards. And I would have kicked the damn door down and never thought twice about it.
that's what I thought you were going to say you
The
did.
younger me, just saying, huh? Do what?
That's what I thought you said we're going to say you did.
No, no. Oh, I, listen, I knew had to be if I had to get in that office, if there were no pins on there or whatever, and that door would be down. I know that.
Yeah.
And I also know that I could fix it too. So that's one reason that I would move forwards with it. But that maturity is a wonderful thing if you're able to recognize, if you're able to distinguish what oneself might have been at one time to where you are now. It's a beautiful thing if you can recognize it because you see growth. And guys, it doesn't matter what age we are. My mind says we always have to grow, whether it's mentally, physically, whatever it may be. We always have to keep going forwards because we can't change that past. And that's part of bouncing back is
So,
being able to recognize it, I think. And then, they were talking about sports and winning. One of the biggest comebacks in sports was in Division II football. It was Division I football, but it was Marshall University playing East Carolina in the 2001 GMAC Bowl. Halftime was something like 38-7. East Carolina was whipping the living pea out of them. In the third quarter was even disastrous. Well, Marshall went on a roll on the fourth quarter. And that game, I think, let's look here. That game ended up, listen to this, that game ended up Marshall winning 64-61 was the final score. Now think about that. For college football, that's a lot of points. Think about this. 38 was what Let's see if it says anything halftime. 38-8 at a halftime deficit. 38-8, and the score ended up being 64-61. All those points in the second half.
Mhm.
And it goes
They
to
didn't give
show
up.
you, never give up. And if I'm not mistaken, Byron I'm positive Byron Leftwich was the quarterback who went on to play in the NFL and also coach in the NFL. He got hurt, and his players, every time they got knocked down, they had to help him up and carry him to the huddle. He would not come out of the game, and he was just using his arm, and it was an aerial assault like no other that we'd seen. And of course, they had to bring up the airplane crash from Marshall when all the players were killed all those years ago. And they were tying this in. They were talking about how this is such a strong reminder that you can never give up. And I can remember because I watched the game, and I can remember thinking, wow, this is crazy. But I think it goes to show you, and I think why Jay used so many sports was it is a common occurrence. We don't pay attention to it.
Because it's so common. Like we don't pay attention to that. We don't relate it to our own lives typically.
No.
We're thinking that they're different, right? That they're just whatever. So we don't relate it to how we can start our days or or lack thereof, right? Let's say you get out of bed, you stub your toe, then you trip over the dog or
That's right.
and then maybe you step on a Lego and like all this can happen in a morning. It's normal for stuff like that to happen, right? But how do we react to that?
How we react to it is the bounce back.
Yeah.
And that is the key, Christine. And had today not taken place, I don't think I would have made yesterday would have been, yesterday was abnormal for me because I was able to muster through it. But I did recognize it later in the day.
Which is important.
There's another
Go ahead,
way
Mike.
to look at what happened to you yesterday, Jay. The younger you would have seen a lot. The present day you saw a door.
The whole picture.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of something small, I was looking big. Well, that's probably very true, Mike. And I think, again, when you're younger, you're much more narrow minded than you
Yeah.
are as you get older and you experience life, in the right way. So I
And
don't
I
know.
can't remember the circumstances, but I have unlocked the door with a hammer before. This is
My son had to crawl through a window at his girlfriend's house. Not sneaking in, but
That's right.
because yes, nobody's home. They were watching the dogs. They didn't have a key to get in, and all the doors are locked. There just happened to be one window open, and the dogs are inside. And he was like, "I'm surprised that because they have a Doberman," and he was like, "I'm surprised that Doberman didn't come after me." Because, like you're sneaking through the window. Typically, you're coming in the front door, not through the window.
That's right. That's right. Wow. Folks, I think it's easy to see we're not licensed therapists, nor do we try to be. But man, sometimes we just have some really, really great conversations. Today, we listened to the AppCon with Jay Shetty. We do that on a morning basis. We take what Jay Shetty says and then we expand our own feelings, thoughts, and opinions on it. And there's beauty behind that. Sometimes we as individuals learn quite a bit by listening to others. And they always say, God gave you one mouth and two ears to listen more than that one mouth puts out is probably a good thing to pay attention to. Anyways, today's topic was bouncing back. It was awesome. And we hope that you come and join us every morning. Please share, like, subscribe our content. Please comment. And don't make it stupid. We hate stupid comments. we're liable to tell you that it's stupid, so don't do it. Anyways, peace.
Deuces.